All right, EA Ermor, turn 36. We finished research in construction, level 4. Now we're moving up with our mysterious alteration research. Will be useful for us later on, but probably not too useful in this current conflict. We missed with some site searching. Someone claimed the Throne of Misfortune, very brave. And then we have some assassinations here. Engravers are kind of more researcher types and definitely easier to assassinate. I think we've assassinated a few of these guys already. And then, yeah, we get lucky here. We get the first hit, and he just has a limp, so we're really hoping for Feeble Mind. But his spellcasting was interrupted, so he's going to try to cast Iron Skin. We got Iron Skin off, so now this is a little tougher. But we do get the Feeble Mind on the second one. We just pushed through just a little bit of damage. You only need 1 point of damage. And then, yeah, his morale fails, and he runs off, so that works out for us. And then we're going up against another engraver, same kind of mage, same kind of kit more or less. Also going for that Iron Skin, not a bad choice. We miss with the first arrow, that's unfortunate. So he does get the Iron Skin off, although as we saw from the last one, that's not the end of the world. Temper Flesh, that could be a little bit more of a problem. So now he's going to be even harder for us to deal damage to. And, the Vinemen at this point, are going to struggle. Hopefully, we got the Feeble Mind here, so that's nice. Looked like he was already weakened for some reason, probably a previous battle. And, now that he can't really cast, we should be okay. It's a little problematic because he's still going to be tough to kill, right? He's got 20 protection, and he's got all the resistant to all the normal types of damage. So you can see that, the Vinemen aren't really doing anything, the bow isn't really doing anything, and, okay, he only has, this hammer. But if he does manage to chew through the Vinemen, it's a pretty good chance he'll kill our assassin. So this is definitely a downside, right? And I think we just ran out of ammo, right? So yeah, this is looking real scary now. We do get the poison. So the poison dagger got through, thank heavens, and that was kind of scary, especially for how much kit we've invested. Yeah, this is even the guy who's got the eye of aiming, which I think he missed his first shot too. So F- to you, Mr. Assassin. But he does pull it out in the end, and now we're trying to assassinate an Earth Reader, which, if I'm recalling correctly, is a stronger type of mage. Yeah. So and he has a Dwarven hammer, so probably doing some gear forging, but it is magic damage. It's still a decent weapon, and going for the Iron Skin again, we miss with our first shot, of course. This guy does not have an Eye of Aiming, also with the black bow. He does at least have Dark Vision from his Dragon Helm, but it did not help us in this case. And then, Iron Skin, Temper Flesh, this is starting to look scary. We miss again with our arrow, or possibly it did no damage. No, looks like we just missed. So even when the arrow lands in a square, it's not guaranteed, to hit if the square isn't completely full. And then he casts Earth Meld, and he manages to Earth Melt himself, but it doesn't really matter. The Vinemen are going to struggle, actually, to break out. They have decent strength, so we'll see. But it does lower his own defense. Not that defense is really what these guys rely on. We hit our own Vinemen. I wonder if that Feeble Minds him. Yeah, probably. Oh, wait, no, he's just blind. I don't even think, do these guys see? Yeah, weird. They're not actually marked as blind normally, so I guess they have some sort of vine eyes, or, who knows the mysteries of Vinemen. But again, this is starting to look scary, and our arrows are just all over the place. This is a lot of gear, a lot of gems to be investing for this amount of terror. And I mean, of course, in the dark, right, these archer assassins are going to do a little worse. And especially too, since these mages have earth, right, and tend to just throw up Iron Skin and Temper Flesh, things that make it difficult to get damage. Hey, we got some damage. Nice. It looks like it was from the bow, right? Because we get the Feeble Mind, which is a big deal because, the spell casting ability of these mages is the most dangerous aspect. Of course, again, this guy has the Dwarven hammer, so a little bit of extra fear there, and we're probably low and or out of ammunition with our bow. But we do manage, I think Vineman manages to get the hit there, and it looks like, he did rout, although he never broke the Earth Meld, so he couldn't escape. So all 3 of our assassinations worked out, but 2 of them were a bit on the scary side. But still, these are casters we're not going to have to face in battle, so that is really nice. And then speaking of battles, there's a battle in Agartha, and he chose not to patrol. A decent amount of PD, though, so we're happy to get rid of that. And, of course, the main thing is Pretender will show up either he's hiding in the fort this turn, or he's going to show up next turn. So we probably will fight a battle. we'll see. He may choose to sit inside his fort with his pretender because we have the numbers advantage, or he may choose to sally. We'll see. And then, of course, if his pretender hasn't shown up yet, they always show up outside the fort, like if it's being sieged, so that will force him to fight a battle if his pretender hasn't already shown up. And then it looks like this is from TNN, no PD. I really don't know what TNN is doing, but hey, we'll take provinces. That's cool. Speaking of taking provinces, right, this is just our levies raiding out against just one PD. So we take this from Agartha. That is good news. And then looks like we catch a battle here. And this is, worth taking a look at. Okay, another storm. Yeah, he's got, let's see, who is this fellow? Okay, this is his prophet, so he's going to bless everybody. That's why he's, not in werewolf form. We have another Scrotty who is in werewolf form, just with a sword. It's, still fairly early, so not a lot of gear. Not that Scrotty need gear, depending on what you're up against. And then, we have a grab bag of demons, as well as some goblins, and then a few casters. So summon Lesser Fire Elemental, very nice. So some gem usage, definitely. A Dione, always dangerous. This guy is a hero, tough skin, increased protection. That is good. No gear, no gems, so that's a little sad, but yeah, the bless is pretty strong, right? Regeneration and ethereal, although ethereal will not help him in this case because the Nephil giants have magic weapons built in, and then also a Bane, which is an acceptable thug or counter thug chassis, but not fantastic, and no gear. And of course, the Nephil giants, the ice giants, they don't care about chill auras, so that won't really help him here. So yeah, this is gonna be a pretty tall ask, literally and figuratively, because these giants are scary, right? They have regeneration on the bless. There's also a Jarl in here. Yeah, the Jarl's been kitted out actually. This is a pretty dangerous kit. He's got some reinvigoration, which helps help him cut through all this chaff. Sometimes you can just make the giants fall asleep because they have to kill so many of these little goblins. But that's going to help him not fall asleep. And then he's been given the Berserker Axe, right? So he's not going to rout, and the Vine Shield is going to wrap up, a lot of these little goblins really effectively. Maybe not the Ko-Oni, or sorry, the Oni as effectively. And the Flame Spits, I don't think there's fire. Oh no, there is fire resistance. Yeah, 10 fire resistance on this bless. So spitting the fire, not really going to matter. Does he have poison resistance? No poison resistance on this bless, although, poison against regenerating giants, you might make them rout, but it isn't really going to help you out because it just doesn't deal damage quickly enough. So, doing a good job of blocking the gate, which is going to help a bit, because obviously he might not even be outnumbered, but, quality-wise, you wouldn't want these giants to surround. And then, of course, this guy's ethereal, so he's able to sneak through the wall, but his fatigue is really high. He is asleep right now. He doesn't have a chest wound, so he probably put himself to sleep. Yeah, Legions of Steel is a fairly fatiguing spell. I'm not really sure that's worth the fatigue. It's definitely a nice spell to get on your Dione, but if it's gonna put you to sleep, maybe not worth it. And you know what? The other thing too, no cold resistance, which is actually probably where more of that fatigue is coming from. So the script maybe is probably fine because there's not actually too many spells in here. So even though, yes, Legions of Steel is fairly fatiguing, he didn't have that many spells in here, and so it's probably the cold. In fact, we can even see, there you go, cold fatigue, cold fatigue, cold fatigue. So I don't know if they really get any water access, this nation, so he just may not have any options. But obviously cold resistance is super important if you're going up against Niflheim. You can always talk with people, especially in a game this large. Probably could have found someone willing to trade him some cold resistance gear. When you're up against Niflheim, that's pretty critical. Even still, right, you can see this guy's regenerating. He's never going to wake up, but they're struggling to kill him because they just, can't really get the surround on him. And there's this one Solus in the way. So this Solus, which I believe is Niflheim's, is sort of protecting this Dione. It is one of the things, right, about the giants. They don't have very good attack density. You can only fit one of these giants in each square. But yeah, they do send him into ghost form. The fact that he's never going to wake up. And yeah, they get the kill. So looks like that works out pretty well for Niflheim. Yeah, they lose one of their giants, and Yomi loses everything. But yeah, Niflheim is one of the challenges of the early age, and I know that the player that is piloting Niflheim in this game is pretty good. So Yomi has a tough road ahead of them. An unexpected event in our capital, get some nature gems, that is very nice. And then we severely damaged the walls in Agartha, so didn't quite get that one turn crack, but next turn we should crack it, and we'll probably go in immediately. There's really no reason to wait, and I will see you guys after the jump. Alright, so this is the situation and what we're doing about it. To start with, it is not looking like things are going well for Yomi. This is their capital here, so we have found that. We can see they've already lost one of their cap circle provinces. Of course, we've seen a couple fort storms, and I don't think they're long for this world. This is really not looking good for them, and that is bad news. We really need to close out this war against Agartha because we do have a non-aggression pact with Niflheim, and of course he's going to have other borders, and that we saw that possibly he has underwater problems, although we don't know how significant those are. It doesn't look super significant, at least not at this point, but it's not impossible that he turns his attention in our direction, which would certainly require our full attention. And then, speaking of things not going great, our fire brothers, it's not looking hot. This Arcocephali, not cracked yet, but there is a big old stack of birds here, along with some casters. We can see that he's getting raided by the birds as well, and the elves. We talked, this is his territory previously, but, we are going to raid out and, try to prevent, we are fighting with TNN, so we're not going to mess with any Kalem provinces yet, because it sounds like Kalem and TNN are working together, but, maybe Kalem has other things they want to do. We don't need more enemies, but obviously, TNN has been raiding us, so, anything that has their flag is fair game as far as I'm concerned, and, Abyssia is totally fine with that. We chatted with him, and if he manages to recover, we'll certainly return this to him. But I know he felt that the outlook was rather bleak, and then, we're just going to raid. We could continue to raid in this direction, but this is actually the cap circle of TNN, right? And so we can see the Ulmas fighting them as well, so I really don't know why are they messing with us? But anyway, so we could raid down here, but there's a pretty good chance that we bump into something, right? This is gonna be really easy to block and a really obvious raid. So we're just gonna backtrack. This is a valuable province anyway. This is oh no, it's connected right now, so that's cool. But this is a valuable province and less likely to be defended, so we're gonna raid back that way, and then continue to just raid out into Agartha's territory. We see a decent number of these dog-headed fellows that have been foreign recruited. It is what it is. We have our stack here. We have our bows, our mine burn, everything that we've talked about. So that should crack Agartha next turn, and then, we'll be going in, and we're going to try to ensure that our retreat route stays open, just in case. So we're just going to do some site searching here. This is definitely a waste of mage turns. Searching with the same level of paths multiple times doesn't really help you, but they don't really have anything else to be doing. So hopefully with the 20 defense and the fire elementals, we're also bringing down one of our death casters here, who will site search for death next turn, but he'll just make skeletons in case we get attacked here. So hopefully this is enough stuff to prevent TNN from closing out some of our retreat routes, because you never know. And then we are setting up to build a fort for the lizard shaman, and then recruitment wise, not too many in the ways of troops, mostly just augur recruitment this turn. We are getting slingers, which is maybe questionable. Slingers are not good troops, but we do have flaming arrows, and it's looking like we're definitely fighting the elves, and we've talked about how they don't love projectiles, and birds also don't love projectiles. Not a ton of fire resistance from either of these nations, so I do think it'll be helpful in what is looking like is going to be our next wars. Not as helpful against Agartha, but a little bit of extra siege strength. Obviously we didn't get the one turn crack on Agartha, so that's not ideal. And then of course always recruiting Equite of the Sacred Shroud, doing a bit of forging a Thistle Mace for some better nature access, Rabbit Foot Charms so that we can waste our Astral Pearls, and then Twiceborn, because we have so many death gems. But this guy's a death 3, right? He could also turn into a death 4 when he dies, and their upkeep is significant, so I don't even hate the Twiceborning. And then what is our pretender up to? He's making some earth boots for some better earth access. So yeah, I think that covers turn 36. All right, EA Ermor, turn 37. No reason to mess around. There's a fight in Agartha, and yep, looks like Agartha's coming out. And it looks like their pretender did manage to get into their capital because, he's got a gem on him and he's got some gear, right? So this is not he's not returning this turn, because otherwise he would be unkitted. You do not get to carry gear or gems through death. So obviously this fellow is our main concern. He is mute now, at least, which reduces his magical abilities. So that is really important. Otherwise, he brought the dog-headed fellows in, which do well in the caves. He's got the cruise missiles. He still has a bunch of these engravers who are more researchery types. Yeah, Earth 1, not really a lot of gems here, so they're going to be a lot less scary, but, he has another capital mage here with some gems. So this guy could definitely be scary. He's got some mind blasters, some of his better mages here who could do, Earth Meld, which our cavalry won't love, and then, just a little bit of his militia, which... yeah, maybe just for siege defense or to make up the numbers, and then, yeah, we know about our army, so let's take a look. Pretty much will Mind Burn handle what we're going to be up against? Of course, we are taking the Mind Blasts, and let's see, that was Iron Bane, so that's going to mess up our equipment, which we do not love, and the Naked Pale ones, I think, yeah, they mostly use bronze. So that is absolutely a good choice for him, although I think and the Dog-Headed fellows, they use stone. So Iron Bane is pretty much all upside for him. There goes our Flaming Arrows. Not going to be too useful against the cruise missiles, the Magma Children, but our cavalry should be able to see them away. Holding and attacking with the cavalry, maybe not so useful, because we are taking some mind blasts, some extra mind blasts. Of course, our snakes not really doing anything for us in terms of protecting us against the mind blasts. We've talked about the various reasons that's not really working out. We have a few of our guys advancing with the crossbows, but they won't really be relevant until we get rid of all the chaff, which is going decently well. Our Ostati, they don't love the dark, but they are decent infantry, absolutely. Our cavalry, unfortunately, getting really spread out. We've got some attack rear. You can see the Earth Meld is causing a lot of problems. So not really getting the numbers back there. And then, of course, our other squad ran into the Magma Children. Probably a good thing, because we're going to need their help against his pretender. And let's see, have we been hitting him with some mind burns? Yes, we have. And there's a Just Man's Cross, right? Our crossbow doing a good amount of damage, but the mind burns not really doing anything. So hopefully as all the chaff disappears and we run out of targets, we will start to deal damage. Unfortunately, he is going to eat our infantry here with his Soul Vortex, and our cavalry is not doing fantastic against these casters, who have managed to give them themselves iron skin and temper flesh. So they're actually kind of tough to kill. And we got really spread out. So this is starting to look scary. And I'm not sure, yeah, we still have some crossbows here, who I wish would advance a little more. Yeah, they're shooting at the casters. Fantastic, guys. I think they are set to fire at large monsters, but, yeah. So we're getting some damage, and it looks like he has routed. This is probably an HP rout, right? So we've killed enough of the army that, the armies of Agartha are routed at large. And I do think we're throwing out some horror marks now. Yeah, so that's off script, but probably a good thing, because, the more that we can mess up this pretender, the better, because it's realistically the only thing, that's going to mess up our plans. But unfortunately, he can't escape now, because we've completely surrounded him, and our infantry is unlikely. No, it's impossible basically for our infantry and even our sacreds realistically to get the kill. We do see there are some jumps here. That's probably from a bow. But with his regeneration, both from the spell and his bless, and the health that he's getting from the Soul Vortex, I don't think the Mind Burn is going to be enough, or the crossbows are going to be enough with his much larger health pool now that he's in his own territory, in his capital. Yeah, there goes some of our infantry, some of our cavalry come back to help out, so now this is looking a little better, right? And we're getting, yeah, I think this chest wound is new. Obviously, if you take a bunch of damage, you're more likely to start stacking racking up some afflictions, and like, this is looking better, but still not fantastic. Yeah, some of our cavalry routes now. The good news is I don't think he can soul drain these soulless. So he's not going to get any health from them. So in that sense, there's sort of an ideal chaff to surround him with. And yeah, while we can see a lot of damage popping up on him, his health is pretty much maxed out. So this is not looking great. Losses are fairly heavy, and like now he is able to escape. Luckily, these undead are pretty slow, so they're going to struggle to surround him. We have probably given him a pretty solid horror mark, which is going to hurt him in the long run, but really more interested in hurting him in the short term. That's kind of more what we need. So yeah, that does work out for us, but it was not a fantastic win. So let's take a look at, what that cost us and what that cost him. So yeah, he brought out like 20. It looks like he's kind of going more for a research strategy because these guys are less useful in combat, but probably like decent gold to research ratio. He loses 5 of his researcher types, but otherwise doesn't really lose, any of his mages, which is unfortunate, especially like would have liked to have gotten rid of these earth readers. We don't kill the pretender, which is probably like the most significant thing. And like, otherwise, like, right, his cruise missiles die. The dog-headed fellows are gone now. Like, most of his chaff is dead, but a lot of mages survive. And we find one of our own crossbows. Fantastic. Yeah, we lose 2 of our assassins that were carrying bows. Not sure what happened to them. We lose half of our sacreds, which is rough, and we'll probably lose more in the retreats. And about half of our infantry as well, which is less rough, but still not good. And then, we lose the serpents. That's fine. Let's take a look at the retreats. Yeah, 82 units dispersed. Only 56 of them made it back to friendly territory. So a significant number of casualties in the retreats, in addition to the fact that now we need to go collect these units. They're not sitting on top of Agartha, and in fact, the defenders in Agartha are repairing faster than we can break it down. So storming Agartha is no longer really viable, at least not immediately. So a win, but an unfortunate win. So let's talk about the rest of this stuff. We finish our mysterious research and alteration. Our Twiceborn goes off. We bring in another Lar. This is Dire Portent, always good news. This is Eyes of God. The main thing is that, you can see most of the map and kind of everything that's going on. A few other effects from this. I think this is coming from an underwater nation. I'll have to double check, but yeah, not too relevant for us. And as far as dire portents go, certainly could be worse. We do find a magic site, a Gloom Gate. This is actually, I think, in Agartha's territory, so we kind of did a little site searching for them, possibly. Now that the war is looking, again, a little worse. And then we didn't find any sites. This is where our mages were just hanging out to defend our retreat routes, which is definitely relevant, considering how that battle went. And then as far as the raiding is concerned, we unfortunately bounce. These levies, using them to raid, I don't know. I think from experience in this game, possibly it's better to just use the Ostati. Yes, it's a bit more expensive, but this isn't a ton of province defense for us to be bouncing off of, so that's unfortunate. Our raid against Agartha does at least work out. This is very low province defense, and then unfortunately we get ambushed by the elves. Yeah, again, this is just one of our fairly cheap raiding groups, so this is not the end of the world. This is the one that was deeper in TNN's territory and was, going to head back because we didn't want to bump into these sacreds. But, alas, the elves, they are sneaky, so sometimes that's going to happen. We have an unexpected event, Spring Fairy, so that's pretty good, actually. Who doesn't love a little joy and laughter? So that's nice, considering we have Misfortune, worldwide event. The Necromancer sucked the force of life from a whole land. That's more like Dominions. So that doesn't sound promising, but hopefully is nowhere near us. And, magic leaking from the world is now going to be happening in 3 months' time. So, our augur is predicting the future. That is useful. And I will see you guys after the jump. All right, this is the situation and what we're doing about it. We are giving up. So this was a tough turn. I thought a lot about this at the time and, kind of went back and forth. I think in a void, like 100%, we beat Agartha. We have more infrastructure. We have more resources. Like, he has his pretender, yes. But as soon as we come up with an answer to that, and he can't really use his pretender offensively, as we've seen when he tried to sit on our fort in our high dominion, that doesn't really work out, right? So it's just a matter of time, before we win against Agartha. But of course, we're not playing this game in a void. There's a lot of other things going on. and we don't have great answers, right? The answers that we came up with are not sufficient in his territory on his capital. So we're going to need more time to get more research. This was supposed to be, a nice, quick, easy war, where we pick up more territory, and, it's turned into a really long, grindy struggle where we've failed twice on top of his capital. So I offered non-aggression pact 3 and pre-war borders, which is an incredibly painful deal for me. But realistically, we're going to be on the defensive again. I think we need to offer an attractive deal in order to get out of this war. And so, yeah, Agartha does end up accepting, and so that's why, we're just kind of moving out of his territory. The reasons, that we're giving up on this war is so sad too. Like, we even have an assassin here. Oh, we could have knocked down this fort. But I think there's a good chance we're about to have a lot of problems, right? So, we know about the Niflheim situation. Yomi is maybe a bit bigger than I gave him credit for, and maybe, are going to be able to hold off Niflheim a bit longer. But this is looking like this is probably going to end in the next 5 to 10 turns, right? At which point, like, Niflheim was like, okay, Ermor is failing hard against Agartha. Yeah, we have a non-aggression pact, but 3 turns is not that long, when you're busy losing all your forces down in Agartha. So it's entirely possible, right, that Niflheim decides, like, hey, let's eat this relatively small Ermor. And then even sooner than that, right, obviously, like, we're getting attacked by the elves, and we know that the elves and the birds have been working together, and, I think that this fort, it's still not cracked yet, but Abyssia is really struggling, with this 2v1, and we can see that, he's getting raided up here from the birds. So it's looking like, our fire brother is about to collapse, and that in addition to the elves, we might have the birds attacking us as well. So, worst case scenario, we try to stay in this war with Agartha. We have to fight Agartha, Niflheim, TNN, and Calum, which obviously we would absolutely lose. So the thinking is, make peace with Agartha. Hopefully Niflheim stays out. Turn our attention to TNN and Calum, like, before they're able to consolidate their gains against Abyssia. Hopefully pick up territory on this border, research some answers, right, for Agartha's pretender. Agartha is going to remain relatively weak, and we know that Ulm is relatively busy right now. We've been in contact with them. Obviously, we know that they're fighting TNN. That's definitely confirmed. I believe they're also fighting, like, Vanheim and, like, I think Femoria is down here somewhere. So, Ulm is relatively busy and probably won't eat Agartha, but we'll see. But anyway, research an answer to Agartha's pretender, right? And then once we take care of this situation, and assuming we don't get eaten by Niflheim, then we will return to the caves of Agartha and fix this problem. So yeah, I've never really tried this. People talk a lot about getting out of unprofitable wars. Probably the thing to do would have been to get out of the war when we failed the first time on the capital. But, I thought there was some relatively low-hanging, like, research fruit that we could use as counters to Agartha's pretender. And as we saw, it wasn't completely off base, but it wasn't strong enough to deal with him in his own dominion. So we'll see how that goes. We are building a palisade here this turn, and unfortunately, no mage recruitment this turn. Like, in retrospect, definitely disagree with that. We're even recruiting, like, some infantry. I think we could turn this, we could turn this into an augur. That probably would have been preferred. I think I'm over-recruiting the legionary infantry, which, like I said, are solid, but, compared to another mage, like, get the mage. We have enough stuff here. We're able to evacuate, like, most of our stuff, because we did a decent job of, keeping retreat routes open, and having commanders nearby in case things didn't work out. So that aspect at least has gone, decently well, and we are going to be able to pull out the majority of our stuff. We're still just hanging out here. This is Agartha's territory, but, we're going to make sure that, TNN doesn't raid it, and just make sure that it stays open while we actually, try to pull everything else out. And then, of course, always recruiting the equity of the Sacred Shroud. We could certainly cut, a lot of these guys and get a lot more mages. That probably would also be the play. But I love my Sacred Heavy Cavalry. So that is not what I went with. With, maximum Sacred Shroud Cavalry. And then we're just doing, a little bit of raiding against the elves here. Heavy raiding, right? So we're sending out one of our Holy Threes with a group of our Sacred Cavalry and Infantry. And so this should absolutely roll over, this province defense. And if there's another stealthy group group of elves is going to try to pop up and ambush us. I actually have pretty high hopes that we'll be able to eliminate that as well. So yeah, we're going to gather our strength, like do some raiding, get ready to probably attack Calum. We'll see. But like I said, since they're working together, once they finish off Abyssia, I mean, I'm sure news of my losses has made the rounds, so there's a pretty good chance they're going to be looking to attack us anyway. TNN is just going to be a bit of an awkward war for us, right? Because it's just such a narrow border for us to move through. So we actually may want to focus our efforts more on Calum, especially since they won't have this territory lockdown. I don't know if we know where I don't think we know where Calum's capital is yet, but it's somewhere over here. I do know that. So we may try to focus on the birds first, even though they haven't attacked us yet. But for now, we're, leaving their flags alone and, just focusing on cleaning out TNN flags. So yeah, I think that covers turn 37. Bit of a bitter pill to swallow, but I do think it is the right move.